They've had a lot of management turnover. We've been watching Apple very carefully for years now because what is an autonomous vehicle? It's the ultimate mobile device. This should have been Apple's market. Apple should have bought Tesla, actually, when they were given the opportunities. It is very hard work. And with all the management turnover, we'd be surprised if they're able to pull it off that quickly. And we're in the business of manufacturing factories. Well, Tesla is vertically integrated, which is really important when it comes to robotaxis. Artificial intelligence demands, at least in the early stages, vertical integration. And I don't know if outsourcing to another firm will work for Apple in this case. Most of his net worth, or more than all of his net worth, given the debt that he has probably, is in Tesla and SpaceX. I would bet that any financial advisor would say, you have got to diversify. Now, he went through a near-death experience in 2008. He knows that things can go wrong. And so he also has big tax bills. So understand it, take profits. There's nothing wrong with taking profits. He still is one of the biggest shareholders of the company.
Shares of XPeng rose a bit yesterday. They continue their uptrend today. That's after the company reported numbers that beat estimates. Actually, now they've turned lower a little bit today. But we saw deliveries rise 14% higher than the upper end of the company's outlook that it gave back in August. One of the ways that you all were able to beat in terms of deliveries is you were able to get semiconductors into your vehicles, which, as we know, has been challenging for a lot of automakers. How you have been able to manage through this period of time?
I think the supply chain shortage is impacting the entire sector, and we have not really escaped that either. But what we said last time was that we have been trying to really hard to be nimble around the supply chain, try to find alternative source of suppliers, at the same time trying to really make early sort of inventory decisions that give us a bit of breathing room. But still, I think we're faced with a very challenging supply chain dynamic in this sector, not just for the last quarter, but also for this quarter, as well as the next few quarters to come as well. So we have to be, doing the same very, very, significant focus and nimbleness to tackle that problem.
What you're seeing in China in terms of the Chinese infrastructure for electric vehicles?
The Chinese government has been very supportive of the development of new energy vehicle sector. And at the same time, I think you saw the consumer enthusiasm embracing new energy and smart vehicles has been, really, ticking up quite robustly. So I think overall, you see the big investment dollars pouring into the infrastructure sector, both from the government as well as from the private sectors. So I think for us, we actually also invest in our own, infrastructure. For example, a supercharging network that's self-branded, only caters to our drivers. At the same time, I think we are relying on infrastructures that's supported by the government on highways and state-funded infrastructure grids. So I think overall there is a very strong, I would say, momentum to push for the growth of the sector here in China.
What you're seeing in terms of demand because of the continuing lockdowns and sort of sometimes tough conditions in China tied to the COVID pandemic. In other words, do you think that demand for your vehicles would be even higher or can be much higher when we come out the other side of all of this?
We have a strong consumer demand for smart new energy vehicles. Especially last quarter, you saw actually a number of cases where cities has been locked up because pandemic outbreaks. Impacted our sales, our services, and our delivery capabilities. So if you remove those factors, I think our numbers will be even higher. For these cities. So looking forward, if we remove the impact of the pandemic, for our operations, I think there's definitely going to be even more upside for our growth. Our culture can be defined as a tech-driven culture. It starts from our founders. They're all, both internet as well as auto innovators. And also, I think our organization is dominated by R&D, sort of a focused staff So, for example, right now, as the end of the third quarter, we have over 4,000 R&D staff in our organization, which is doubling the number of R&D that's starting of this year. So it's a very much of R&D and technology-driven culture. Being a Chinese entrepreneur in this very dynamic market, you have to be very nimble and also be really entrepreneurial in response to the opportunities. So I think in some ways, I think we have a very young technology entrepreneur culture compared to some of the traditional OEMs that you see in the auto globally. We unveiled the design of G9 last week at the Guangzhou Auto Show here in China. It has caused rave reviews, and I think the feedback's been tremendous. But we haven't really revealed a lot of the details of the product, which we think will be, the technology leader when it launches in the second half of next year. It will have I would say the cutting edge autonomous driving architecture, as well as the software packages to really support, what we call XPilot 4.0, which allows citywide, NGP, navigation guided pilot features, which is pretty much autonomous driving, but obviously with drivers behind the wheel. But also it will have a supercharging capability that utilize 800 volt of charging platform, and that can really charge our vehicle in up to 200 kilometers of range in less than 5 minutes. That's also going to be industry leading. At the same time, this product will have architecture of electric system that really have domain control that is going to be cutting edge in China, coupled with its appearance, which we think is also very attractive. We think that this is going to be the flagship product that really going to drive our sales by the second half of next year.
Tesla down a little bit again today as we get some news that Musk has offloaded almost $10 billion since the Twitter poll. The FT piece yesterday regarding the Tesla financial complex, its outsized impact on options volume. Interesting note out of Morgan Stanley today, Adam Jonas does a mea culpa on Ford, says, I missed the 95% run. Jim Farley's brought a lot of energy to the company, but reiterates an underweight on his overall notion that EVs are not going to be the money-making business that internal combustions are.
Lucid, Mike, is still got a larger market cap than Ford.
Yeah.
These things sort of create a bit of a base. I mean, Rivian is about $100 billion right now. I've got Lucid at about $83 billion.
Tesla, Lucid, Rivian all down because sometimes it seemed as if it was either you buy the new guys or the old one. But, we'll see how it develops throughout the day. They obviously are all, it's a lot of future hopes and dreams.